Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
That's right. Had some sprinkles in the city this morning.
I know.
It was just weird.
It's just to wash things off. That's what I told myself, right?
Exactly. To wash things off, to make sure that the day starts out all fine and dandy. You know, I have some plants in front of my house. And when I heard something of a...
Yeah, but you could plant it, but does it grow?
It grows, yes, Marlene, it grows.
I'm going from my personal experience here, no judgment to you.
When I heard the rain, I was like, okay then, so I don't have to wake up to water the plants this morning. But, you know, so it was definitely a great feeling to just hear some rain on the roof. We know that when it comes to the southern part of our country.
The problem with that is rain on the roof is the sound to go back to sleep.
That's what we love. That's what we love. But at the same time, it's looking beautiful here in the city. The sun is shining. And we do hope that all is well in your neck of the woods. Mara, you know, the first thing we do every morning here is that we dissect what the newscast was like last night. And that's exactly where we want to go. There's so many stories we could talk about. There's so many things we could do. But there's a reality that's striking our country at this particular point, Marlene, that I feel people need to get on board with. You know, people need to continue with getting on board. One of the things that I noticed, though, before we get on into the news is at the onset of the pandemic, one of the things that the authorities were telling us is that if you wear a mask and you put that mask below your chin, or you touch that mask, you're not able to put it on again. People that wear masks 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks straight.
That's true,
and I feel that that is a big part of the lax. That is a big part of why we are in the situation that we are. We're not necessarily following the wash hand protocols again, how to wear your mask properly. We're seeing what the realities are in our country, and it's taking us down.
Yeah, you know, you bring up a really interesting point, because I think where we have been talking about remember to do the things you're supposed to do in terms of keeping yourself safe, and also talking about, you know, the benefits of vaccinating. Yeah. We perhaps have moved away from kind of going back to the fundamentals.
Yes.
The way this particular virus spreads, the transmissibility.
Yes.
Even things like washing your hands for 20 seconds. Remember when, I think in early 2020, I mean, I wouldn't put a number on it, but it felt like we were doing hand washing demonstrations almost on a weekly basis.
Almost on a weekly basis. It was,
and we learned quite a bit. One, that even with hand sanitizer, you have to be able to continue to do it for 20 seconds or until it goes dry. Remembering, you know, the behind, the fingers, the thumbs, the insides.
You know.
And let me be honest, I'm not washing my hands as detailed as I was in early 2020. So some of the simple fundamental things that we know are helpful in mitigating the spread of the virus, like reusing masks, or when they used to say don't touch the mask.
Don't touch the mask.
Yeah.
Especially after you touch some money, especially after, because people are actually doing this now. We're shaking hands again. We're actually going in to hug each other, all of these things, you know. And on the Monday night show, the doctor, I think it was Dr. Cobb, if I'm not mistaken, said strictly that one of the things that we're not adhering to is, of course, the hugging part of things. The fact that we're not, you know, we're not taking care of things that we used to be, and thus we are in the situation that we are. Marlene, I saw the numbers yesterday, the COVID-19 numbers yesterday, grim numbers. I mean, when you see these numbers, like, whoop, Dr. Cobb said you have to treat everybody like they have coronavirus. You have to treat yourself like you've got coronavirus. Yeah. Simply means that if you don't have to go next to somebody, you don't do it. I just want to state for the state of fact here, when it is done.
Yeah.
We're a distance away from each other. We're a distance away from each other. But check the numbers for yesterday.
And even we're both fully vaccinated.
Yes.
Everyone else who's in the studio right now is masked. And they also sanitize. We all sanitize. We have our protocols before we come into the studio. and we do maintain a distance, and when we can't, we wear our masks. So I think, yes, it's going back to the basics with this, because when we look at what's happening, and I appreciate what you said, what Dr. Kopp said, that every single person may have COVID.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Yes.
There is a community spread across the country, and because we're vaccinated, you know, I think there are a lot of asymptomatic people who we know are carriers that can pass it on to people who have not been adequately protected.
Yes, and the numbers are saying it. Over a one-day total for yesterday, 200 new cases. I mean, we expect to have some recoveries for the fact that we had, prior to that, some more cases. And so therefore, every day you'll have recoveries because every day we're finding cases. But 200 one-day total? And then we're seeing Belize City with over 100 cases? Or you know, double digits.
Yeah.
Belize District, actually. But we're talking double digits for Belize City alone over the past 6 to 8 weeks.
I think
this
there's
is every
over
day.
80, yeah.
Yes, 6 to 8 weeks.
And that was a question that was on the Get the Facts show on Monday, that, you know, essentially we've seen outbreaks in other parts of the country. You know, Orange Walk, most famously, and the northern districts, I should say. It wasn't just Orange Walk. They had the outbreak that we saw in the end of November into December, which was terrible.
Yes,
and that
it
was pre-vaccination for us. We saw, I can always remember the day we reported 1,000 new cases, over 1,000 new cases. It was, to be clear, the day that the rapid tests were included with the PCR test, so that was a part of what we accounted for. But there were days that we had a large number of deaths. So we have passed through that before, but the difference is now is that there is something for us to rely on to have an added level of protection.
Indeed, indeed. You know, I brought this up simply to say, and quickly, Belize City there with, I think, 85. That's Belize City, Belize City itself. We noticed the Cayo district every day, every village, it seems, in the Cayo district are showing that they've got.
Village.
Yes, we know that there was earlier up in the year, the Toledo district showed, you know what, we're doing double digits on a daily basis as well. So this is the current situation that we are in. There is the Cayo district. It says 30, but every village, I mean, like every village, every
Well, don't leave out any village because they'll be mad at you this morning.
Yes.
But because I'm sure they're proud if they have 0 new cases.
0 new cases, yeah. But that's the situation that we are in at this point. But Mar, I started this way because there is a specific story that we ran last night, you know, done by Marian Ali, that to me was really touching. And I say this because she actually brought to light what the current situation is at our referral hospital, the National Referral Hospital. Yesterday we had 2 of the nurses in.
Yeah.
And that conversation, I watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And we had a specific clip from one of the nurses, the head nurse, if I'm not mistaken. And she was adamant about what the situation is at the KHME. You know,
No, you know, that was an interview. It was a perspective that we'd not heard before. At a time where, I mean, John, there was so much emotion in the room yesterday, and it was it was difficult to hear the circumstances and the choices and the sense of not just. It's not a physical tiredness. You hear an emotional tiredness from these nurses. And, you know, Nurse Bowman, who is the head nurse, was here to talk about what her other nurses go through. But Nurse Duran, who joined us, you know, it was literal. She said from early on, and she told that she didn't want to break down because that's where they are. And that's extremely concerning. I've gotten a lot of feedback about that particular interview. And I think that it was an important story that had to be told. Yes, it's their job, but they're going, without a doubt, I don't think anyone can argue that they're going above and beyond.
Goodness.
And the biggest concern is, of course, that we haven't hit the peak. So we've always talked about this in COVID-19, where there's a peak in waves when we get them. And so the wave that we have right now, according to what the Ministry of Health and the epidemiologists predict, we're not quite at the peak as yet. When we saw Minister Shabat, I think he said it would be 2 weeks later, so we should be seeing that soon. And by the numbers and how they're increasing, it seems that we're heading there.
But Dr. Cuellar said it, you know, We're not at the peak. How are we not at a peak when we've got 200 cases rearing its head in one day?
Yeah.
But Marlene, just before we wrap up this particular segment, I really would like for us to run that story again.
Yeah.
Like
The
we mentioned,
story's ready, yeah.
it's ready.
Yeah.
So this is the grim reality of what's going on at the KHMH, as told by our reporter Marian Ali.
Sometimes we have 4 people that are positive outside, and we have to then triage and sort these patients to see who will get to be seen first.
The overcrowding at the Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital's COVID unit is becoming so worrisome for the hospital's medical staff that the thought that someday soon they will simply not have any more space to fit COVID patients is becoming all too real. Head nurse at the hospital's COVID ward, Casilda Bowman, says patients are showing up for treatment much more frequently now and with more complications than when the virus first swept through Belize.
Yesterday, we got about 7 admissions in a space of maybe 3-4 hours. So we are seeing a lot more people coming in, with more symptoms than we were seeing last year. Most of them are coming in with shortness of breath, and the shortness of breath is also accompanied by a low saturation. Last year, some months we were in numbers of like 26 admissions for the month.
Bowman says that the high volume of COVID cases at the hospital has become so dire sometimes patients have to cope with the trauma of seeing another patient die or even witnessing multiple deaths.
We have had patients where I can tell you have seen maybe 5 deaths within the time they're there, and so their anxiety level is extremely high. We have to figure out how can we help that person, all right? Sometimes our best fix is try to move the patient out and put the patient in a next room.
Yeah.
Then what we're doing then is putting the patient in an isolation room alone with his thoughts or her thoughts.
And fears.
So it's complex.
It is also complex for the medical and nursing staff who must also witness these people dying.
For me, it's a real emotional breakdown when I have to deal with these patients. Do the best I can and they still don't make it. Then I go home with all this emotion and frustration on my mind. It's really hard to deal with.
Once I had Dr. Cruz finishing a CPR and crying in a corner because she did everything possibly could have done to save the patient and still passed. The connection that it comes from having a patient 2 weeks is a lot. You understand? We see them, we talk to them, you know, we try to cheer them up, you know, the little we can do. And then when we see them go, it's extremely hard.
The situation is equally difficult for COVID patients who experience serious health issues, such as internist Dr. Atanasio Cobb, who got infected long before there was a vaccine as an option to fight the virus.
I'm hypertensive, of course I take my medications. I said, you don't know what is going to be the outcome. And that fear and that anxiety that begins to creep in you, that you still have lots of things to do, you still haven't done everything.
Life flashes in front of you.
Yeah, life flashes out in front of you. I said, you know, my children still need me.
Dr. Fernando Cuellar, who is an internist, chides many people, saying they have become numb to the reality, perhaps because we are looking at weekly numbers of deaths as mere statistics rather than otherwise healthy people who are dying horrible deaths. He has a sobering warning for people who are still being rebellious and refusing to follow the safety regulations.
But where one get dramatic is that when they lie down on a lose the floor, okay, they beg for only oxygen, or they sit down in a house and dead. Okay, because we don't reach rock bottom yet.
Wow.
Our numbers have not peaked. Our numbers have not gone to the bottom and we got more for go. If we not do what we're supposed to do as a Belizean community, which is a basic public health thing. Wear your mask properly, wash your hands, physical distance, not the crowd up, okay? If you see somebody in the aisle, you try to hold back, you do your part.
The virus has spread so extensively throughout the country now that there's only one assumption to make in protecting ourselves.
Think that anybody who you come in contact with now has COVID. It has come to the point now that you cannot assume that where you go, people are not infected. You have to begin to change the way we think that anybody who we encounter may be positive. And more so, the people who are not vaccinated.
COB is of the view that anti-vaxxers have no right to discourage others from taking the vaccine when they themselves have not sat at the bedside of COVID patients to see just how much they suffer before dying. Reporting for News 5, Marian Ali.
Clearly, Marlene, that story is definitely a touching one. Go on out to get vaccinated, man. The doctors are saying it. If you want the best tacos recipe, you get to your tacos vendor, and they'll tell you exactly what to do. We see that a lot when we go to Orange Walk. Now, if you want to know what's going on with the health situation, you find your doctor, and you ask your doctor, why should I take the vaccine? And they'll answer you as to why you should take the vaccine. Get your information from the relevant authorities, the relevant bodies, who knows exactly what the situation is and how to get it done.
Yeah, and you know, I know I've gotten some questions about how to help the nurses that we spoke to yesterday at the KHME. We know that Dr. Andres Sosa, the chairman of the board, did tell us that some of the kind gestures you can do is sending stuff to them at the unit. We know they're working extraordinary long hours. They're very overwhelmed. So you can always contact the KHMH to see how you can. I've seen some people send them food, which is nice. You know, when you see that people care and appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, send them some love. They deserve it. They're in that situation because of how lax we are with not washing our hands, wearing our masks, following the social distancing, following the protocols from the Ministry of Health. Look, there is a health facility in your municipality where the vaccine rollout is being done. Go there, get vaccinated. The Johnson & Johnson is now in the country. It's a one and done. For those of us who are afraid of needles, and nobody know, Marlene, you know who I am. It's tough for me to get a needle in my arm. But when the vaccine came out, I really and truly knew that I had to get it. You can do it too. Pfizer is here, AstraZeneca is here, the Johnson & Johnson is here. Let's go get vaccinated, please. All right, yeah.
Okay, but we got to get moving into our show for today, and that means it's time for our eye-opener. And our eye-opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. Taking the time to sit with your feelings, to acknowledge them, will save you much distress down the road. It can take great courage to really sit with our feelings, allowing ourselves to surrender to their powerful energies. All too often, we set our feelings aside, thinking we will deal with them later. If we don't deal with them, we end up storing them in our minds and bodies, and this is when anxiety and other health issues can arise. Denying what our body wants to feel can lead to trouble now or down the line, which is why being in the thick of our feelings, no matter how scary it seems, is really the best thing we can do for ourselves. When we simply allow ourselves to fully feel our feelings as they come, we tend to let them go easily. This is all we are required to do. Our feelings simply want to be felt. We often complicate the situation by applying mental energy in the form of analysis, when all we really need to do is to allow, as the earth allows the rain to fall upon it. All we need to do is allow the process by relaxing, opening, and receiving the bounty of our emotions.
I love it. Taking the time out to sit with our feelings, to acknowledge them, will save you much distress down the road. I feel like you were talking to us, man. I really and truly feel that. I think that one of the things that we continuously do is just shove the feelings aside, maybe because of what we've been through in the past, or the fact that, hey, I don't feel like I have the time to deal with it right now. But it is very powerful, your feelings, and it can take over at times. Some folks might say, you know what, we need to learn how to deal with it. But at the same time, some meditation might just give you exactly what you need to get it dealt with. Your feelings are definitely a major part of you. It's a major part of healing for your mind. Sit back, relax, and get it dealt with as it comes to you. Why? It provides clarity of mind. Your feelings are very important. I really and truly like this eye-opener. Yeah.
You know, I definitely chuckled at the point where
yeah, I heard you.
The mental energy we put into the analysis.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged. But yeah, I do appreciate the eye-opener reminding us that sometimes we just have to acknowledge what we're feeling. And of course, by doing so, you're able to have better control over the actions that may come from that feeling.
Indeed.
It's not the feelings that are bad. Feel angry if you want. What do you do with that anger? That's a different story.
That's right.
Yeah.
All we need to do is to allow the process by relaxing, opening, and receiving the bounty of our emotions. That's a great eye-opener, a great way to start your morning. We hope that we provided to you some motivation. But it's time to take a look at the weather. We've got Shania on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
I'm okay.
Are you in your feelings?
Not there.
Let's take a look at the weather. Let's take a look at the general situation. What should we expect?
So mainly fair weather will prevail over most areas today. 24-hour forecast is for mostly sunny skies with only isolated showers or thunderstorms inland this afternoon and over the south tonight.
All right, beautiful. And the winds?
The winds will be from the east at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea conditions will be slight.
That sounds good. It simply means that our temperatures should be just fine, right? Tell us about the highs and lows.
So highs along the coast will be slightly warm, 89 degrees Fahrenheit, inland 94, and in the hills 84 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, and for tonight?
And tonight, low temperatures will be 80 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 74 inland, and 70 in the mountains.
Wow, I could just imagine those 70s in the mountains. Cool. But nonetheless, what about our extended forecast? What should we expect within the next few days?
So many fair weather will continue for most of the week, with only isolated showers for tomorrow and tomorrow night.
All right. We are in the hurricane season, of course, June to November. Do we have, or is there anything that we should look out for?
Well, in our area, no. There are two broad area of low pressure systems, one located near central Bahamas, and then the next one near Cabo Verde Islands, which has a high chance of becoming a tropical depression in the next 48 hours. But currently, both systems poses no threat to us. And previously, what was Nicholas, it has become a tropical depression and moved inland, so they're not issuing any other advisories for that depression.
All right. Sound like Nicholas turned just Nick. Well, all right. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, or that's it for today?
That's it. Just continue to stay safe, and well, if you like the warm weather, just enjoy the warm weather and a little break from the rain.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Shania, thank you so very much for providing us with that update.
You're welcome.
All right. Now we know exactly what to expect. Just be cool. Enjoy the warm weather that we've got hovering over our country. All right. We move on. You know, there's so many things that, of course, that happens every day, and what we do at Open Your Eyes is that we try to provide to you those topics so we know exactly how to deal with it. As a matter of fact, in the first segment for this morning, the National Conservancy will be in with us. That's TNC. They'll be breaking down the Belize Maya Forest and the Blue Bun Notice. What are those things, and what do they mean for our country? We'll be asking them those questions in the first segment.
All right. And the second part of our show, we're going to be talking to a representative from Divine Ministries. And what they have done is created a platform for children to do individualized learning, learning that is specified to their needs and their learning style. So we're going to get some more details about that and who can take advantage of it and how.
That's right. And in the third segment for this morning, Belizeans continue to make our own products, skin care, hair care. But in the third segment, we'll be talking about skin care, a Belizean high-performance skin and body care brand. It's called Coco Love. We'll tell you exactly what that is as we'll meet the owner this morning in the third segment.
All right.
And of course, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll actually be jumping into our first segment.
Before we do, I do have a special birthday shout out. I do want to say a very, very happy birthday to my niece. Harper Augustus. I already sang to her this morning.
You did.
Turning the big 7 today. She wanted to know she looks different because she woke up 7 today, right? I hope you have a great day today, sweetheart. All right, now we can take that break and get moving into our show for today.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
At Belize Diagnostic Center, we offer FDA-approved PCR testing for COVID-19. Get your results as quickly as 1 hour. Don't risk getting exposed to COVID-19 by going elsewhere. We take appointments, or we can come to your home or office using our concierge service with no additional fees. We have 10 locations countrywide. Call or WhatsApp us at 613-TEST. That is 613-8378 to schedule your test today.
This can be you. Get vaccinated. The life you save can be yours. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 5 Caribbean Media Awards for 2019 and 2020. Best Television News Item, Best Responsible Coverage of Children's Issues, Best Health Education Journalism, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with special mention by the jury in the Best Television News Item category.
welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are moving now into our first segment. Now, this one, of course, is a conversation with reps from the National Conservancy. Now, they're here to actually break down the Belize Maya Forest and Blue Bond Notice. Now, in to tell us all about it, we've got Julie Robinson, who is a Belize Program Manager with the Nature Conservancy. She's in with us. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, morning, John. Nice to be here.
It's always nice to have you in, Jules. But this is definitely something to reckon. We've been hearing about it, and it has been up in the news over the past few weeks. The Nature Conservancy. Let's break it down and what it means. As a matter of fact, let's talk about what the company does. What are you guys, and what do you do?
No, thanks for that, John. So a lot of people haven't heard about the Nature Conservancy before, and this is the first time they're hearing about it. But what they don't realize is that, so we're a global organization and we work across over 70 countries all over the world. But more importantly, here in Belize, we've been working here for 30 years. In fact, in December, we celebrate 30 years of having officially opened our first office, which was down in PG back in 1991. Mm-hmm. We're a very small team. It's there's 6 of us. But the type of work that we do, of course, is conservation. But it's conservation and protection on sustainable management of natural resources, both on the water and on land. But the way that we do that is we do that in partnership with government, with other NGOs, with communities and private sector. So because we're such a small team, we cannot really do this work ourselves. So we help to facilitate, we build capacity, and we provide the tools, and that's kind of how we work. So it's a small team. I like to call us like a tiny but mighty team because we actually cover a lot of area all across the country. And everything from working in fisheries, in mariculture, working with forest management, watershed management. And I'm hoping in the not too distant future, we'll start working with agriculture as well. So regenerative agriculture.
Mm-hmm. So funny that you mentioned 1991. So that's of course a long time ago, some 30 years like you're saying. And just recently, everybody now seems to be getting on or hearing the news of the Nature Conservancy. You did mention that you guys have been working here since 1991. Can you tell us some of the work or some of the work that you guys have been doing so folks could reckon that this company has been in the country this long?
No, definitely. So, for example, one of the very, very first projects we started working on, and this was in the late 80s, so we didn't officially have an office here yet, but we were working in Belize. And this was in partnership with Program for Belize, Massachusetts Audubon, and a number of other entities to help to acquire the property that's no Rio Bravo Conservation Management Area. So we work closely with build the capacity of Program for Belize and help to put them in a place where they would have this property and they would be able to protect it in perpetuity. And so, they have a number of different programs now: sustainable tourism, sustainable timber, and that was like one of the very first things we did. We also work really closely with fisheries, the fisheries department in particular, on fish spawning aggregations. So I don't know if you've heard about like Gladden Spit, for example, and the whale shark diving, and how that has really transformed Placencia from being like a sleepy fishing village into this mecca for whale shark tourism. A lot of that work we did that in collaboration with the Fisheries Department, and we also helped to start up what was at the time Friends of Laughing Bird Key, that became Friends of Nature. It is now the SEED, so Sustainable Environmental Alliance. Southern Environmental Association. Tide down in Punta Gorda, that's the other organization that we built up from nothing, basically, and helped to build the capacity, help to build the organization, and then eventually we step back and we step away, and now they're functioning, all these organizations are functioning without TNC's assistance. Yeah. So, I could honestly go on forever with all the work that we've done, but it's a lot of it has been focused on making sure that we are managing our resources sustainably for the benefit of people. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of having all this wonderful nature? You know, it's really for us. I mean, I'm looking at some of the videos you're showing there. I mean, it's being able to provide food, put food on the table, being able to provide jobs, giving us clean air, clean water, things like that. So those are some of the things that we've been doing over the last 3 decades.
So it seems that a lot of your work was focused in the South. And let's shift now to some of the more recent developments. And we'll start with the Maya Forest corridor, because that is in the north, and it's a really interesting program, but it was under heavy scrutiny when it was publicized, the official details of the job. So I want to step back and find out from you just how long that negotiation process was.
Okay, so I'm going to step back a little bit on that as well, because the initial discussions around that started years ago. Different individuals, they recognize the importance of that piece of property, that area that we call the Belize Maya Forest. And I just want to clarify one thing, because there's the Belize Maya Forest and there's the Maya Forest corridor. So these are 2 separate properties that are being managed by 2 separate entities. So on the map there, what you see is that orange area, that's the Belize Maya Forest, and then the corridor extends and connects sort of that dark green to the orange. And so there are 2 trusts that have been created to manage these 2 properties. And so it's been recognized, that whole area, that whole central, what we call like Central Belize Corridor, has been recognized from back in 2005, actually, when you looked at the National Protected Area System, that it was an important puzzle piece in this larger, what we call the Selva Maya region. And so that Selva Maya region, it covers southern Mexico, northeastern Guatemala, and most of Belize. And that represents, that's the 2nd largest tropical rainforest outside of the Amazon in the Americas. So it's really critical. It's important for biodiversity, and it's important for the entire region, but also, for all of the Americas. So I just wanted to just provide a little bit of clarity between the Maya Forest corridor and the Belize Maya Forest. So discussions.
So TNC, what is TNC's involvement with the corridor?
They're partners for us, so we work closely with them. But what we're really focusing on is that orange piece, which is the Belize Maya Forest. That was the one that was announced back in April, where, of course, there was, it caused a lot of anxiety for some people. But the initial discussions, like I said, it started years before, and what we were able to do as TNC within the last, I'd say probably a couple years now, we were able to pull together a coalition of a number of different NGOs, including private sector foundations, to be able to raise the funds and work towards the acquisition of that property. And the reason why we were doing that was because we saw that over the years, that property was being sold off, parcel by parcel was being sold off and converted to industrial agriculture. And so the forest was becoming smaller and smaller, and it's really important for movement of some of our iconic species, our tapir, our jaguar, things like that, to be able to have enough forest to move around. So that was the motivation behind the acquisition of that property. And we engaged with government, with the Barrow administration last year, and came to an agreement that said, yes, this is an important piece of Belize's territory to incorporate into the National Protected Area System, because it did provide a lot of ecosystem services for the country. And so that was that initial agreement that we signed. And then fast forward to November, there was a change in administration, and then we started working closely with the Briceño administration. And given, I've mentioned this before, and I keep saying it, it's just that, 2020 was this extraordinary year, not just for us, but for the world, where people were hurting. People were losing jobs, people were losing their lives. I mean, it was just, I can't even begin to express how difficult a year it was for everybody, and we all know because we're all in the same situation.
Yeah.
And because of the economic crisis that the pandemic created, we sat back down with the government, so with the Briseno administration, and discussed what could we do together in order to redo this agreement, so that it could take into consideration the factors that were affecting the country and that were affecting people at the time. Yes. So that's why we came back and we renegotiated that.
Yeah. And I just wanted to get your reaction when you heard the agreement being presented in the Senate, and you heard of the major concerns of what this administration had with what had been negotiated, which included the break in the land tax, and also the fact that this country wasn't going to benefit from the carbon credit. And to be clear, you acquire the property through your funders, and it's placed in a trust for Belize. So what was your reaction when you heard all the concerns that were being publicized?
Yeah.
Marlene, I was mortified when I heard what was being shared on social media and the things that were being said. They were inaccurate. They were grossly inaccurate, actually. I heard numbers about what, the hundreds of millions of dollars that were being given away, and this was all completely inaccurate. So let me talk a little bit to the difference between the original agreement and the supplemental agreement that was recently signed in August. So in terms of what has changed, the only thing that has changed is that in terms of land taxes, in the original agreement, we had 100% waiver on land taxes. We did not have to pay any land taxes at all. In the supplemental agreement, we are paying a discounted rate, right? So we're now paying $1.40 per acre, and which is equivalent of a 30% discount. So that's the difference. The other difference when you talk about carbon credits and offsets, I know this is a very complicated topic, but we were given the rights, the full rights in the first, in the original agreement, and we're still given the rights in the supplemental agreement. The difference is that there's several things that need to happen first. We're given the rights, so we're going to develop the carbon, we're going to sell it on the market, and the proceeds from those offsets will first go into the establishment of a US $15 million endowment fund. That was in the first agreement. That did not change. To cover up to 50% of the acquisition costs, that was also in the original agreement, so that did not change. What changed was that any proceed, then we have a $1 million cap. That's something new that was added, and these are all US dollars that I'm using, by the way. So for a total of around $54.5 million US dollars is what we'll be able to use from those proceeds. Will go back into covering the cost of management, covering the cost of the property itself. Above and beyond that, then government will have the ability to decide where those funds are invested. So that is the change. It is the above and beyond the $54.5 million. But those were the changes. So it was it's really just the land taxes and then the proceeds above and beyond those things that I just outlined.
So Julie, I know there are many different points of view on this, and we've heard Senator Salas and other conservationists talking about the fact that since it is a trust, it was going to benefit anyway, Belize. And when people look at just squarely at the numbers, any waiver of land tax, even to environmental organizations, seems unfair when an average person has to pay these types of costs. And then any money made from carbon credit in the country not coming directly back to the country was an area of concern. How did you, I mean, did you reach a point where you realized that some of the concerns that were expressed, even though it was negotiated before, were in fact perhaps valid or at least understandable?
So a couple things, because you said a lot there. Firstly, I do want to clarify that the money does come back into the country. So that endowment fund is to fund work here in Belize. Yeah. The only part that I would say maybe does not come back into the country is the covering of the acquisition, the 50% of the acquisition cost. The other thing that I want to point out is that I feel that, and this is not just in Belize, globally, people do not appreciate or value what nature provides for us, just to be able to live. And so when we talk about taxing conservation lands, what I think a lot of people don't realize is those conservation lands are there for us. They're not there just for the animals, birds, and things like that. They're there to protect our watershed so that we have water for agriculture to drink. I mean, when you look at the Belize Forest and Rio Bravo, those two areas combined, they represent about 9% of Belize's land. And they cover 3 of the major watersheds up in northern Belize. They provide, they cover about 75% of the watersheds in northern Belize, and they provide drinking water for 1/3 of Belizeans and 1/4 of our farmers. So I think that now is the time for people to start to realize that it's not just forest, it's not just about the birds and the bees and the animals, it's really about what we call these ecosystem services. Because without the forest there, we wouldn't have, I mean, we are blessed in Belize. It's like we have a huge amount of a great supply of clean drinking water. There's so many countries that don't. And when you compare different countries, you'll see that places where they have removed their forests, you end up with something that you call desertification, which is the land turns to desert. And that can happen when you do intense agriculture and clear-cut farming and things like that. Eventually, you don't end up having the rainfall that you need. So those are things that, you know, I think are really important to mention. Now, going back to like your original question, which is about the tax, and yes, people having to pay tax. I mean, so we're a nonprofit. So everything that we do, we raise funds to do the work. All of that goes back into the Belizean economy. We're not making a profit out of any of this. All of this gets reinvested back into the country. And nonprofits around the world, including here in Belize, tend to get tax waivers for that reason, because they're investing back into the country. Countries, you want to attract that kind of investment because the benefit is far greater than having the tax. However, in this case, like I mentioned, it was an extraordinary year. And also the size of that property, 236,000 acres, the amount of revenue that generated for the government was significant. And so that would have been a significant loss during an economic crisis. And so me as a Belizean, you know, I pays my taxes. I mean, gosh, I wish I didn't have to pay tax. I'm sure everybody you know, we have to pay taxes, right?
And that's why I asked that question, because we see things through our own lenses, you know, and when we think if I have to do it, then everyone else has to as well. But if we could move forward, because I don't want to lose the opportunity, Julie, to really dive into the potential for carbon credit. You know, I think for years, people have been asking this question, whether or not Belize is in a position to be able to make money off of, and you can break down carbon credit. I'm sure you have to do it all the time, but it's kind of the reverse or a part of the solution when we're talking about climate change. Preserving these spaces is countering the effects of climate change, and that's what gives it value. But let's talk about what's the potential for this in the market in today's age. There are countries that have been more successful than others in the carbon market. So let's talk about Belize's viability.
So I think Belize has a huge potential on the carbon markets. I mean, this is work that we've been doing not just recently. In Rio Bravo, there is a carbon project there that we established back in 2012. And what that does is that generates funds for Program for Belize to be able to manage the property. And that's the same that's the same model that we're creating with the Belize Maya Forest, is to develop the carbon, which is quite costly to do. But when you develop the carbon and you get it validated and verified, then it goes onto a registry and it's sold. Now, it's like any other market. It varies. And so in some places, in Europe, I think you can get in places you can get up to $50 US per ton. Right now in Belize, you're getting on average between $5 and $6 per ton. But that will vary and that will change from year to year. And I think that as the globe becomes more aware of the opportunities in carbon, then I think we'll see, I'm hoping anyways, we'll see that those prices go up. And this is something that I know, we're looking at nationally as well. It's not just these individual projects, but having spoken with government, and I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I know that they are looking at this as a way of generating revenue for the country, and they absolutely should. It's important, and again, it's us valuing our forests and understanding that tree that's standing there, that forest that's there, it's important, for us to reduce our emissions and to meet our commitments to the Paris Accord. So, and I don't know, Marlene, if because I've been getting a lot of questions around carbon credits and what it is.
Can you break it down? Yeah, that's what I wanted us to start with that, just so people understand what we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try and break this down as simple as I know how to. Okay. But carbon credits are basically, it's a simple way of putting a value on a healthy forest. Yes. And the reason for that is because trees, through photosynthesis, they will remove carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is one of the greenhouse gases that's causing our planet to warm up. And so, but not only does it remove the carbon dioxide, but it holds it in its structure. And so we call that like sequestration, where it holds on to it. Now, if you were to go and cut down that tree, the tree dies and all of that carbon gets released back into the atmosphere. So essentially what we're doing is that by applying this value or this credit, you have companies who, because of the nature of what they do, they are emitting they're causing pollution. So let's take, for example, airlines. Right? So people have to travel, and when you travel, you're causing these emissions. You're releasing emissions into the atmosphere. So what airlines will do is they will pay to purchase these credits as a way to counterbalance or offset, and that's where the word comes from, to offset the pollution that they cannot eliminate as part of their industry. Yeah. And so what they're trying to do is we're trying to get to what we call this net zero. So as much, as much greenhouse gases as is being putting out is also being drawn down by the forests. And so that's what carbon credits are. And you have many different, there's several different what we call registries out there. So this is all like a third party verified. So like they're audited. So it's not like we won't develop it and we go sell it. No, it has to go through a very rigorous procedure to make sure that we are quantifying that carbon accurately, and then that gets put on the market, and then people can go to the different registries and decide which is the most, which is the one that actually. It's kind of, okay, put it this way, it's like when you go into a grocery store, you could go and you could either buy a Coke or you could buy like a cola that has like a no-name cola. You'll pay more for that Coke, right? Yeah. Because you know it. And so it's the same thing with carbon. I mean, you have different registries, so you have different prices on the market. And that's kind of how it all comes together. And this is something that takes place over many years. It's not something that will happen just in 1 or 2 years. like I said, with Rio Bravo, we started this back in 2012 was when the project was actually verified, and we started selling carbon offsets or carbon credits.
You know, it's funny, at the onset of the pandemic, when everything stopped, they actually saw how rich the earth could actually be with not having all of these carbon emission going on. But you're right. We know that.
But I just wanted to go back to it, because you said, and that's a key thing in being able to determine the value for Belize. It's also looking at how healthy the forest is as well. I don't want to miss that part, because that's part of your management that you talk about as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, it's not just, all trees are not created equal. All forests are not created equal. So, you know, it would be difficult. We wouldn't be able to do this if you just have this tiny little patch of, you know, forest that's, it really had, you have to be in a healthy environment. It has to be sort of everything from connectivity, everything from, we have what you call leakage. So like if you protect an area and that causes people to go and cut down the forest someplace else, then are you really achieving the objectives that you're looking to achieve?
Yeah.
So all of that has to be taken into consideration. And so it's really about having sort of healthy, intact forest that is able to maintain the integrity of that system. And there are a number of, you know, there's monitoring that has to be done on a regular basis to make sure that it remains intact, and it incorporates the social sciences as well, and people and communities. So it's not just about going in and measuring trees, it's about going in and talking to communities and making sure that they are also benefiting from the forest, whether that be through jobs or other services. All of that is taken into consideration. So it's not just about biodiversity and nature, but it's also about people.
Excellent. Now, I know we're quickly running out of time, and I want to touch on the blue bonds as well, but just now that the deal has been renegotiated, I mean, just tell me, what was it like finalizing the agreement? You said that one of the big considerations was just acknowledging the devastation of 2020 and seeing the need or understanding the need for the renegotiation.
Yes, no, I mean, you know, I was really happy when we finally came to an agreement, because this was something that we were very proud of. We were so happy that we're finally able to protect this really important piece of Belize's both natural and cultural heritage, because I didn't even tell you what's in that property and how important it is, you know, for our Mayan ancestry.
Yeah.
So it was something we wanted to celebrate. So after, you know, a few months of negotiation and finally coming to that, finally coming to that agreement was a good feeling. We're happy with that. We do recognize at the same time that, you know, it would be great if once the country is in a better position, right? Once we're out of this pandemic, once we're able to reduce our debt, all those things, maybe we could be in a position where rather than the taxes just, you know, just going to, or have those taxes go directly back into maybe the programs and the surrounding communities or into protected areas management. Those are things that I think we would like to see, because it's really it comes full circle, and we would like to see that those funds are able to go back into management, and even any additional proceeds from carbon as well. You know, at the end of the day, we're trying to protect that area for, you know, for our future and for generations to come.
Yeah, just like you did with Tide, just like you're doing with the other companies that you're actually working on. But Mar did mention that she wanted to touch on the blue bonds, and in tipping into your press kit, what are the blue bonds and why are they named or called the blue bonds?
So, you know, it's funny. One of the reasons why I do want to talk about this is because I know that a lot of people have been associating blue bonds with sort of, you know,
political alliances.
Political, yes, and it has absolutely nothing to do with that. So Blue Bonds for Ocean Conservation is something that TNC launched back in 2019 as part of a TED Audacious project. Audacious being, something grand, something amazing, something risky, and this is absolutely what it is. We're working across multiple countries, not just Belize.
Yeah.
But the reason for Blue is because this is about working with coastal and island nations. And it's about protection of the ocean and the ocean resources. And the ocean is blue. So that's the reason why it is called Blue Bonds. It's strictly for that reason, and it's what we're using all over our projects all over the world. So I just wanted to clarify that.
No, it's funny.
And I can understand.
No, but we heard the same thing. There was a same clarification that needed to be done when they spoke of the blue economy as well.
Yeah.
So I understand. But yeah, I think we've discussed this, as I said earlier, from the government's perspective. But it'd be really interesting to hear about the innovation behind this project. As we've noted before, you've managed to work with Seychelles before on a much smaller value than what is being offered to Belize.
Yeah.
But just the idea itself in debt restructuring for marine conservation, let's talk about that.
Well, debt restructuring is nothing new. This is something that's been done for decades all over the world. TNC is one of the organizations that's been leading that charge, but there are others as well. And it's an innovative way of being able to work with countries to reduce sovereign debt, and in reducing that sovereign debt, the payments that would have to be used to make those to pay that debt could then be redirected and redirected to invest in the country in conservation. And I'm speaking very blanketly about this, and not necessarily marine conservation. I mean, because there's been debt restructuring for nature, both ocean and terrestrial. And so all it is just creating fiscal space. It's creating cash flows that would have normally gone out of the country to service a debt. Rather than doing that, no, it's coming back into the country. It's not leaving the country. It's staying here. And to invest in government, in communities, in NGOs, in private sector, so long as there is a common vision and common objectives towards the sustainable management of our resources.
Just to be clear, so when we're talking blue bonds, this is a whole separate agreement that you are taking on with the country, with the government of the country. And I think that it's important to be able to differentiate that, because very early on, I think the two things became conflated.
Yeah.
But going back to it, in creating this program, I found it interesting that one of the things in the explanation of the move towards the blue bonds was that even agencies like TNC and others have recognized that when you're looking at conservation efforts in developing countries, it is particularly challenging because there are competitive interests. And so looking at debt restructuring is one way to help in moving in the conservation direction, because you're helping to take care of financial needs. Do you want to expound on that?
Sure. So conservation is at the heart of this. And yes, there are competing needs, but at the same time, a big part of this, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to talk more about this in the coming weeks, but what I can say is a big part of what we are asking for from government is to do a marine spatial plan, and to implement a marine spatial plan. So this is where you take all these competing interests, you put them in the same room, and you talk it out. So a marine spatial plan is essentially, it's a participatory process. It's a way of bringing in all the various users of the marine resource. So in this case, you're going to be bringing in tourism. You're going to be bringing in fishing industry. You're going to be bringing in recreational people who just go out to just enjoy the water and go, communities that live along live on the islands or live along the shore that use that in however way that they use it. when we were working in the Seychelles, one of the big users there that we had to incorporate was energy, because they had wind farms out on the ocean. And they had the tuna industry, and they had, so you're bringing in all the different users, and you start to analyze and listen and talk about how do you take this space and divide it up in a way that it is mutually beneficial, that everybody can be happy. Because as you know, there's conflict. There's conflict between different users. It's like when you have tourism and they're diving, they don't want to see fishermen fishing in the same place that they're diving. You know, and you know, and when there's development, so what we need to do is to bring everybody to the table, look at the entire seascape, all of Belize, all the oceans and our coastal areas, and figure out how can we make this work for everybody. It's like everything else. It's like a negotiation. You're going to have to give a little and you're going to get a little. But what we're going to do is we're going to do this together, everybody together. So it's not like TNC or government dictating how the oceans would be used. It will be led by the stakeholders. We are only there to help to facilitate. And that is a long, drawn-out process. We're talking multiple years. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And it's going to build on a lot of work that's already been done. So Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute, they developed an integrated coastal zone management plan. That was the beginning of kind of wanting to do a marine spatial plan. But they're focused mostly along the coastlines. Now we will build on that and take that to incorporate the entire ocean and go through sort of a similar, very rigorous process.
Now, I think one of the questions, and when we had Minister Koi on set, it was a critical point to kind of look at, and we have you to ask. So when you talk about an organization like TNC, pooling resources from interested investors to be able to help to restructure a country's sovereign debt at a discount and work finalizing an agreement, the question, I think, naturally that comes to people's minds is, what's in it for you?
Yeah.
I love that question. Okay, so
not you, Julie the Belizean, though. TNC and the investors.
So here's the thing, right? TNC has been investing in Belize, like I said, for over 30 years now. And we as TNC recognize the leadership that this country has taken, that all the different administrations, be it PUP or UDP, I mean, we, and when I say we, I'm not talking TNC right now, I'm talking about we as the country, as Belize, we are global leaders when you talk about natural resource management. Right? We have a wonderful, we've been on that stage decade after decade, year in, year out. And so when you have a partner like that, when you have a country that is willing to take the risks with you, is willing to sit at the table and discuss and have those difficult discussions, because they're not always easy, as you know, it makes you want to work with them, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I believe, you know, TNC has been so invested in Belize for such a long time, and we're not going anywhere, because Belize has shown that it is a global leader and continues to show it's a global leader. And what we hope is that other countries will look to Belize and go, oh, well, if Belize can do that, I can do it. You know, it's so Belize is kind of like leading the train, and we're hoping that others will come along and will kind of tag along. And so that's what we're getting out of this. We're getting, at the end of the day, we're getting conservation done on the ground, in the water. And if we can accomplish it in one country and others see that, they're going to follow as well. And I guarantee you, all eyes are on Belize right now to see what's going to happen.
Cool. And I guess that's a good way to kind of close it off and say that while there is an agreement, as we've been told repeatedly, in principle, it is not a done deal as yet, as we do need bondholders to be able to buy in. And so it's just I think they're at 62 now, maybe about somewhere around there. But what's the buzz in the international community, as you pointed out? We've been hearing more from the financial side, but conservation-wise, is this kind of a milestone in what you've been doing with the Blue Bond?
Conservation-wise, yes. If we're able to actually close this deal, it is going to be a huge milestone for the world. You know, not just for this country. And you know, I think, like I said, it's going to set a precedent that would then allow this type of work to be replicated elsewhere. So it's nothing like this has ever been done before anywhere in the world, not at this scale.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It is.
All right.
It is. Well, you know, we're so thankful, Julie, that you were able to join us this morning to actually break things down, and so we could get a better understanding of what TNC does and what the Blue Bond is. So thank you so very much for joining us this morning, Julie.
No, thank you. It has been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully next time I'll be able to be there in person.
Yes.
I know, right? Do enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right, so we're about to take a break. When we come back, we'll be tapping into our second segment. And of course, it's going to be about Divine Mercies as they share with us about their platform for individualized learning. What is that about? They'll tell you when we come back. Stay tuned.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Hello, welcome to Samsung's awesome experience right here in Belize. Come check it out. Not sure which Samsung Galaxy A series is right for you? Touch, play, and learn about your device before you buy. Once you've purchased your device, you can now benefit from the full Samsung service experience. Your phone is covered by a 1-year local warranty. This includes manufacturer defects and software and hardware issues caused by the manufacturer. Enjoy your phone with peace of mind knowing that your Galaxy is protected. And when your warranty expires, you can still bring it to our certified Samsung Repair Center. Our technicians will diagnose and repair your device with Samsung original parts and machinery. Enjoy the Samsung experience when you shop at any of our authorized partners countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Odette's Home Center, Debari, Quartz, Shopligas, Gadgets, and Cellular Plus. Join the Samsung experience in Belize today.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, Call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our second segment, and this one surrounds the Divine Ministries. Now what they've done is that they've put together, or they will actually be sharing with us their platforms for individualized learning. Now in with us to tell us all about this is Michelle Major. She's actually the manager at Divine Ministries. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Michelle, let's learn about this. Divine Mercy Ministries and this platform we're actually learning. What is it about?
So it started off with us looking at the fact that in Belize, standard classrooms are for standard students. If you're a middle-of-the-road student, you do fine. If you struggle a bit in any subject, you just struggle, you're on your own. If you excel at a subject, you're just bored. There's not really room for those students. And so it started off with us trying to make room for those students. We developed classroom programs to help students who struggle, and we integrated international programs like SAT, AP, PSAT to try to make room for students who excel. In a time of COVID, everybody's struggling. And so it meant that we had to expand how we thought of our model. And so what it now becomes is individualized learning, because in a class of 30, you might have 15 students who are right on target, 5 students who are ahead, and another 10 that's behind. How do you work with those students? And so the easiest way to say is individualized learning, but integrating that into the classroom is almost impossible for a single teacher if they don't have the tools. And so I went about looking to get myself some tools.
And what did you come back with?
I came back with platforms for learning that have been used in classrooms in North America and Europe and even in parts of Asia that allow the teacher to set the pace for the student on an individual level. So I'm still the teacher, I'm still running my curriculum, but if I have a student who excels at math, I let them run ahead in math. So I could be teaching algebra, but if you can do calculus, knock yourself out, you have a device. In a time of COVID, we're all working from devices anyways. So that's what it is.
No, that's really, I'm thinking of COVID times right now, and what you just outlined is kind of what takes place in an average face-to-face scenario. When you add the layer of what we're dealing with right now, which includes some children who don't have access to devices, some children who don't have a support system at home, some who can manage it on their own, and then you have the other end of the spectrum, where some children have a dedicated tutor or teacher helping them with all their homework every single day. So the disparity and the learning gap is growing.
So that's part of our concern, is that we wanted to make it more affordable and accessible for more of the community to access tutors and teachers outside of the classroom. Because you're right, I can't afford a dedicated tutor for my kids, you know, to come in on a daily basis and teach them. So how do I bridge that gap between someone who can and my kids? Because it's not, for me, I think that everybody's capable of learning. It's just, do you have the right tools? Do you have the right methodology to reach this person? Some of the programs that we use integrate things like audio prompts rather than just visual prompts. Because if I have a slight learning disorder where I process information in an auditory level, you can talk to me and I can process it, but I don't read as well, like dyslexia. That doesn't compromise my ability to learn, to process and analyze information.
It doesn't mean a lesser intelligence, it just means people learn differently.
But in a standard classroom, it means that your outcomes are lesser, to be fair to those students. There are lots of students that are academically or intelligently excellent and would be academically excellent if there was just a little bit of tweaking in how they were assessed and praised.
Wow.
Michelle, I could just imagine so many parents at home saying, thank goodness, because the times are different now, where now you can be able to recognize, and especially if you have children to compare, that my child is intelligent or is smart, but they just pick up things differently. Or they have a different way of learning. And they may not have moved to the diagnosis phase to exactly know what it is, but they know that someone requires specialized learning.
Well, I don't even like to think of it, unless someone is on the extreme end of like autistic or having an extreme learning disorder where they just cannot function in a normal setting. I think different isn't bad. I think different gives us iPhones. I think different gives us microchips. If those people weren't thinking different, somebody told them that they were crazy for thinking that. Tesla was called insane in his time. And so for me, if a child processes something differently, that's not something to stifle or fix. It is something to be explored and nurtured, because that's our future. We need different to fix climate change.
You're speaking the language right now of parents like myself, who've got who've got young children who are actually in the standards, you know. But the Divine Ministry Tutoring Center Now, how can we get it?
Well, you could go to our Facebook page, which will be up on the Channel 5 website later today.
That's right.
You could call us. You could email us. We are partners. We are partners with SCA, so they do for the international programs, the SAT, the PSAT, the AP. We partner with SCA, so they're our testing center. So usually, if you reach out to them, they can get you in contact with us. We're pretty I'm pretty accessible.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any questions, I'm obviously more than willing to tell them all about all my ideas.
So let's go back to the basics then.
Yeah.
How does it work? How do I get access to it for my child?
So you would register with us, and we have a variety of programs and for a variety of links, which means for a variety of costs.
Okay.
And for me, especially to be part of this program, I needed it to be accessible to as many people as possible. So I wish somebody would give me funding so I can make it free for everyone, because I'm terrible at that business end of things. But it does have a cost to it.
Okay.
But what I always try to tell people is you're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to pay if you allow your student to continue to regress when they get to standard 6, when they get to 4th form, when they get to college and they have to do remedial classes and you're paying at that level.
Yeah.
Or you can pay to get them caught up now. And we try to make it as economical as possible. So one of the things that we do when we get a new student is we give them a diagnostic assessment.
Okay.
And that tells us where they're struggling, where they excel, and where to put resources to help them get caught up.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm not somebody that's going to go sign up for a full year program if your kid takes a diagnostic test and they're like, well, they just need that one thing. They're actually at level.
Yeah.
Now, if the child is interested in moving forward and they're going Zoom learning, I always tell people, at the end of the day, I have no malice towards a kid who's not doing well on Zoom, because I wouldn't. My ADD would have me watching Netflix. Like, I would be straight up watching Star Trek. Like, that's what I would be doing. I make no bones about it.
Don't give the children ideas.
They know.
I know, that's true.
They know.
That's true. We're just making the parents aware. That's what we're doing.
Because I know that's what I would do, so I can't be mad. My son does it. My son's like, and Blue's Clues. Like, because the tablet has on Blue's Clues.
So how do you run a diagnostic on a child when they're on the platform?
You do assessments that have specific subject criteria. So if your child is in a standard class, we would give them a math diagnostic with level appropriate subject content, and language arts diagnostic with level appropriate subject content. So it's testing for reading comprehension. I'm going to give you a paragraph and I'm going to ask you level appropriate questions. And I have 4 different levels: advanced, proficient, basic, and below basic. And it's simple enough for even a non-math whiz like myself to look at it and go, you score on this criteria, you score most in below basic. You need to work on that.
So first you decide where they are to know what they need.
Yes.
All right.
And I don't know any other way to do it.
And how do you, what have you, like, since being that you've been doing this, what have you been finding out so far for children? Where do we lack? Yeah.
People are going to be mad at me. What I think students need most is analytical, reasoning, and critical thinking skills. Because if you have those, you can usually solve almost any problem.
Cool. Cool. That's a great way to answer.
And that is developed in the classroom and outside the classroom.
Yes.
That's right. I will agree with you there.
I think it is an across the board challenge. But I think institutions are what create the deficit, because I've worked with students in standard first form to 4th form. That's where a lot of my work was. And I found that around 3rd is where they kind of go, yeah, I got this. I figured out the system. I know I know the formula to pass. and learning doesn't become the reward unto itself.
Yeah.
I only do this for a grade.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, learning was a reward unto itself. You read books for fun. And if you read a book and you didn't know what was in that book, you went and found another book that told you what it is that you needed to know to understand that book. Whereas now, kids just go, I can Google that.
Yeah.
I can YouTube that.
Yeah.
Why would I read that?
Yeah.
There's a movie about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
and no one will know. No one will know if you Google the answer. You know, we used to have to rely on encyclopedias,
student companion, and all these things. Yeah.
But I love what you're saying. So that's one step to it. But we missed the part where we talk about what age groups can benefit. You're working with high schools right now, but this does include primary.
Standard 1 through 4th form.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
We're also looking to sort of expand beyond that to
tertiary level.
Yes. But it's more not along the lines of tutoring, but just sort of making accessibility, sort of education accessibility when it comes to international education for other
How
people.
involved do parents have to be on this platform? Because you know that's part of the challenge.
In my experience, parents need to be involved in the sense that they make sure their child is engaged.
Okay.
But the sense of you need to sit there and work with them on it, that's what the platform is for.
Okay.
So I'm not a preschool teacher. Me teaching my son, I can give him that knowledge, but the techniques to help him learn, that's not my skill set. I am not a calculus teacher, as my daughter will tell you. I cannot sit with her and help her do calculus, as she will tell you. But I can give them the tools to do that. And so the involvement of parents is to make sure that their children are engaged. And the hope is that once they start to see progress, they will choose to engage. Because usually when you're not into learning or academics, it's because you've learned that failure is inevitable.
Yeah.
So when you keep getting failing grades or you keep not getting it or you're passing, but you know you cheated because you had your phone while you were on the Zoom school, it's not rewarding.
Yeah.
And so the hope is that eventually the kids will start to recognize that it's in their best interest. But yeah, you don't need to be the teacher. That's what the platform is.
Yeah. Now, what's the average cost?
For an 8-week session, it's $250. That's 3 hours, so 24 hours of total time.
Okay.
It's small classes, so between 5 and 7 kids. What I've found is that if there are 30 kids on a Zoom class, the teacher can't really, unless they have a super big screen.
That's true. That's true.
And if you're 28th down the list, they don't even know you exist. Again, it comes back to me muting my thing and putting on Netflix because you don't know I'm here. What do I care? So it gives the students a sense of small group so that they feel like they can be seen and heard, and it makes it not so overwhelming for the teachers. They have the ability to check, to go into the platform, into profiles, and check students' progress.
Okay. And that was only the 8-week. What's the 12-week?
That one was $550.
Okay.
And then the 20-week was $700, and then the 35-week is $850.
$850.
So when you break it down, it actually ends up being about half, depending on the tutor, the third of the cost of a private tutor.
Yeah.
Which I thought
by
was,
hour, because you pay tutors by hour.
Yeah.
And
and then for the 35-week class, they anybody standard 6 to 3rd form will be taking the PSAT as a way to gauge what their learning outcomes are. And and that's part of the program. They'll take the PSAT to gauge that learning outcome, and the PSAT gives them an independent snapshot. So it's not me telling you, it's not, even if you're like, you fudge that data, it's an independent system telling you where your child is, how far they need to go, what they're doing. That's something you can share with their teacher, with their school, so that they can then target resources towards what that child actually needs.
And what about the time of the day? So if I sign up with my child
Yeah.
and I'll take the 8-week, what time of the day do these tutoring sessions start?
So it will more than likely be after 4 o'clock, 4:30, and it would be, it's obviously we're going to be running multiple classes. So it's going to be somewhere between like 4 and 7. I don't want people to be up too late. Or it could be like 3 hours on a Saturday. So
Okay.
it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Might be like 4:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday,
Okay.
Friday. But it would depend on how the scheduling and the
Okay.
logistics work out.
So when do you plan to start?
Classes actually start next week. But for the 8 and the other weeks, except for the full year session, the 8-week session, those are rotating. So
Yeah. So you've had great interest so far.
There's been interest.
Yeah.
Cool. But you did say on there that teachers are welcome to sign up. If I'm a teacher, why would I want to sign up? Or why should I sign up?
So for teachers, one, it is an opportunity for them to make a little extra money. I don't try to charge my students an arm and a leg, and so I can't pay them an arm and a leg. But it's also an opportunity to learn a different approach. So the approach we use is reverse classroom, and the teacher is a resource, not as an expert in information.
Reverse classroom?
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
The teacher does not lecture in front of a Zoom or Google Classroom thing and then give students homework. You get all the materials up front. You get all the tools up front. You do your homework, and where you have challenges, that's your teacher as a resource. Your teacher is a tool, because let's be frank, there's the internet for that. No one is an expert, because everyone is an expert thanks to Google. So what you are is a guide to help them process, analyze, and learn how to integrate that information.
Hey.
Amazing. Michelle Major. Things with you. So
Sorry.
next week,
Is there limited space available?
Nope.
No
It's
limited space?
online at this point, so it is unlimited space.
So if you're supposed to get more than 7 persons for the 8-hour class, 8-week class, how do you break
No,
that
it's
up?
5 to 7, not more
Okay.
than 7. We don't want it to be more than 7.
You'll
per
just do
class.
multiple cohorts.
Yes, we'll just
Okay.
split it into
Yeah.
multiple groups.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Anything else you'd like to share with us with this big launch?
If your child is not standard, you are not alone. It's perfectly okay to have a kid who doesn't think like everyone else or doesn't process information like everyone else. And, find your village, and they will help you, because that it's not just you.
Yeah.
It's not just your kid.
All right.
So where do people sign up?
Again, the Facebook page.
There's
We
an
also have a
email.
presence on Instagram,
Okay.
which I don't run because I don't do social media.
There's an email address too, I think I saw.
Yes. info.divinemercies@gmail.com. Divine Ministries.
Divine Ministries
I'm
at
getting it
gmail.com.
confused. Yes. Info
Okay.
at divineministries@gmail.com.
And the Facebook is the same thing, Divine Ministries.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, sounds good. Now we know. Additional help is now in town.
Individualized.
Individualized learning.
Individualized.
Why didn't they have a reverse classroom when I was going to school? Don't answer that.
There was no internet.
All right. But we do
Oh, my
appreciate you
goodness.
coming in and telling us all about it. There are a lot of parents out there, as we were saying before we started the interview, that are struggling. And this is going to offer them a great opportunity to provide the additional help to their children that they need in their learning process.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right, so we're about to take the break. When we come back, Coco Love. What is Coco Love? Skin care and all that. Belizeans are actually stepping out and doing new things. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. Stay with us.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. When Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany in 1933, he scornfully dismissed the church and her pastors as an irrelevant force which posed no threat to the Nazi agenda for that great nation. He boasted to his inner circle that if I wished to, I could destroy the church in just a few years. It is hollow, it is rotten and false through and through. One push and the whole structure would collapse. We should trap the preachers, he said, by their notorious greed and self-indulgence. They will swallow anything in order to keep their material advantage. The parsons will be made to dig their own graves. They will betray their God for us. They will betray anything for the sake of their miserable jobs and income. The dictator's words proved to be tragically accurate. The great majority of Christians in Germany looked the other way and remained silent. However, in 1940, at the height of Hitler's power and popularity, a courageous young pastor named Dietrich Bonhoeffer denounced the church's failure to speak out against the evil. He called on the church to repent of her silence and cowardice. Bonhoeffer's warning went unheeded, and in less than 5 years he was hung naked from a piano wire noose in Flossenburg concentration camp, having paid the cost of discipleship. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
Great Belize Productions, Channel 5. Proud winner of 5 Caribbean Media Awards for 2019 and 2020. Best Television News Item, Best Responsible Coverage of Children's Issues, Best Health Education Journalism, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with special mention by the jury in the Best Television News Item category.
And I got vaccinated to protect myself, my family, my patients, and my community.
Good morning,
Ines here. I got my vaccine because I want to protect my family, especially my patients, and everybody around here. Everybody I come in contact with.
Mi nombre es Miss Chinchilla. Me vacuné porque quiero proteger mis familias y mis pacientes.
I'm Dr. Nunes, internist at Solar Regina Hospital.
and I got vaccinated to protect myself, my staff, and my patients.
Soy el doctor Eduardo García. He trabajado 22 años en Belice y yo me puse la vacuna del COVID por la sencilla razón de protegerme a mí mismo, proteger a mi familia y proteger al país de Belice, porque es importante pensar en Belice.
And we're back. We are back to jump on now into our third and final segment for the morning. This one is all about Coco Love. What is Coco Love? It's actually a Belizean high-performance skin and body brand. Now, who is behind Coco Love is Belize's very own Indira Andrewen. She is actually the owner of Coco Love. You know Indira from her stint on movies. She's a celebrity. Oh my goodness, Indira, good morning.
We usually introduce you just as an actress, but today you're entrepreneur.
Yes. Good
Everybody
morning.
know me as like an actress, but actually I have a big passion for skincare and body care for many years now, and I'm super excited to be able to share this with Belize.
All right, so let's learn about it. I mean, we're talking here Coco Love. It's a skin and body care. How did you come up with this? Where did this come from?
Actually, this started many years ago in high school. I was becoming more health conscious about what I was eating, and through that, I also was learning about like the stuff that I was putting in my body and on my body every single day, and how toxic that was. So I started to create products for myself, and from there I started selling at festivals, and it just evolved over many years. And I remember just dreaming of the day that I can create a product from scratch with all the natural ingredients in Belize, and also like have important and imported actives that work in synastry with the natural ingredients to make a high performance product.
Well, I'll tell
Indira,
you what.
let me ask a question, because I'm fascinated at entrepreneurs like yourself. Because if you tell me today to make my own moisturizer, I wouldn't even know the first thing to grab. How did you know what ingredients you would need, what would be beneficial for whether it's skin or hair, for different skin types, dry, oily, whether you have darker skin, lighter skin? Where do you even start?
So like I said, this started when I was in high school, and I was like, I'm not using any more of this, like the normal toothpaste or the normal stuff that I was putting on, because I believed it was toxic. So I had no choice but to go into my kitchen and find things and like research on the internet and experiment. And some things didn't work, some did. So over a while, I learned what worked and what didn't. And then I took a course, actually, which was about 3 years, and I got my advanced diploma in cosmetic skincare formulation. So through that, I learned how to research ingredients, how to formulate, how to test, how to preserve, and now we're here.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's amazing. So it's taking something that you just had an interest for on your own, and then you got your certification. I'm sure through that process too, you were probably made aware of the wealth of natural ingredients we have access to right here in Belize.
Yes, there's so much. So like a lot of people who have big skincare companies from the States or from Europe, they actually come to Belize because we have some of the highest grade ingredients in the world. So only they pay for things that are from foreign countries, but actually the ingredients most of the time are from countries like ours. Like for example, the seaweed that we have is one of the highest grades in the whole world. The turmeric, cacao, so much so much natural ingredients.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, girl. Your skin is all the testimonial.
I know, right? I was just about to say, she's glowing.
You don't even need. I look at you,
You're
and
glowing.
even in your photos as well. So tell us, which particular product made you realize, because you started doing everything, and I saw masks, I saw deodorants, I saw cleansers. Which one of them did you make that made you realize, I really have something here, I'm gonna go after it as my actual business?
Actually, so I decided to just launch with these products right now because these are the basic products that I find that I use every single day. So we have the cleanser, the face cleanser, and this is something I use every day. It has seaweed, aloe, lactic acid that helps to mildly exfoliate your skin, orange essential oils, natural surfactants that cleanse the skin, and it's a balanced pH. So I first started with the cleanser and then the tooth powder. Every day I use toothpaste, obviously, and deodorant, a moisturizer for after you cleanse your skin, and a face mask, which helps to detox the pores, because a lot of people struggle with clogged pores and acne, and especially in this environment where it's very humid and your skin gets like clogged.
What's in your mask? I mean, not all the ingredients, but what are like the core ingredients? Because I know the clay masks are taking off right now. People are looking at different natural masks that they can use. What's Coco Love's mask?
So this mask actually has a lot of different spices. It's a heating mask, and the heat in it activates. It opens up the capillaries and stimulates blood flow in order for the other ingredients to penetrate better in the skin. So it's not just a regular clay mask. There's a whole science behind every single product.
Wow. And what is your client base like? I mean, like, you've got 100% stuff here at home. You're doing things. What are your clients saying?
I get good reviews, like a lot. Just recently, someone told me that they had bought so much cleansers from Sephora and all over, and they were struggling with acne for some years. And when they tried my cleanser, it just cleared up their skin. The other day, a client told me that the deodorant, they said that when they applied this deodorant, they didn't have to apply it for 3 days.
Oh wow!
So that seems extreme, I know, but it just lets me know that these things are actually working for people, and
it's better for business if she uses it every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And your products are for men and women?
Yes, for men and women.
Sweet.
I think you would enjoy a face mask.
All right,
we did a face mask on you here once, didn't we?
We did that. We did that. A rock one on India around 36 hours? Woo!
One of these days I have to come on the show and then
You should.
do a facial.
Do the facial,
yes. You should. You should.
I am a firm believer. I've seen it before. Men enjoy facials. They just don't know it yet.
Well, I know it. I know it now.
Yeah. After we push you. But let's look at the seaweed cleanser that you have there. Tell us a bit more about. You have a seaweed, and I think I saw an oil to gel.
Oil to milk cleanser.
Oil to milk. Okay, tell me about that.
Okay, so these are two different kinds of cleanser. This aloe seaweed is based on people who are used to foaming cleansers. So it is pH balanced, which means that it's not going to strip your skin, and most soaps, right? They have a high pH, which means that it's going to dry out your skin. You notice when you wash your skin, it's super dry afterwards.
Yeah.
That's not really healthy for the skin, because we have a natural microbiome on our skin, and it kind of kills the bacteria, the good bacteria in your skin when you're using just regular soap. So when you have a balanced cleanser, it's helping your skin to stay super healthy and for that, the good bacteria to thrive. So this is what the jelly cleanser does. It also has lactic acid, which helps to exfoliate the skin. Seaweed is amazing. It has so many nutrients and minerals. Aloe repairs the skin.
Yeah.
So that's the aloe seaweed.
So tell us about the one we just had on the screen, the oil to milk cleanser.
The oil to milk, that's like one of my favorite ones because it's a mixture of different oils like castor oil, almond oil, fractionated coconut oil, all these cold pressed oils mixed with rainforest honey, which is super hydrating, and salicylic acid, which penetrates into the pores and cleanses out the debris and, you know, takes out all of that out of the pores. It doesn't have any soap in it. So when you're cleansing, the oil sticks to the dirt and like rinses away, and it transforms into a milk when you wash it off.
Wow.
So you're not left feeling oily. It just rinses off completely.
I'm so glad you said that because there is this anti-oil type of sentiment. If you have oily skin, it's like, oh, I can't use that because I have oily skin.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to.
But actually, when you have oily skin, like, and using an oil product, it's gonna balance the oils in your skin.
That's right.
And so when it's transformed into a milk and it's completely rinsed off, it's not leaving you extra oily either.
Cool.
That's right.
Well, I need that.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I really didn't know. And for that reason, I really love these sessions.
I want to hear about your moisturizer though. Tell us more about that.
So the moisturizer it's okay. This one, there is something called lemongrass hydrosol in it.
Okay.
And I actually make that from scratch.
Fever grass, right?
Yes, fever grass. And I have a lot of lemongrass in my yard. So I harvest it and I put it in a still. And this still like steams the lemongrass. It makes it like into a potent tea, which is like, it's actually about 30 times more potent than tea.
Wow.
And the steam converts into a liquid form. It takes several hours to process this. And so I make that from scratch. So it contains the lemongrass hydrosol, aloe vera, hyaluronic acid, which is a humectant that draws moisture from the air to your skin. And also from deep layers of the skin, it comes out to the surface of your skin. So you're just gonna be glowing. It's not gonna leave you greasy. It's very light.
Yeah.
It's a daytime moisturizer. It has also MSM, which calms the skin of like redness and inflammation. And a little bit of oils in there, but it's very light and it has jasmine and tea tree and just a light fragrance.
Nice.
All right. Well, it seems you've got lots going on there. My goodness.
So what's your favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite?
What's my
and
favorite?
I know that's hard.
I use all of them. I don't know. Because sometimes like I'll be like, the mask is my favorite. No, actually, the cleanser is my favorite. I don't know. I can't choose. They're all my babies. I can't choose. You can't choose between them.
Okay.
But where can we find them, Indy? Where can we get these products?
You can go to Instagram at Coco Love _BZ and message us, or on Facebook at Coco Love.
Wow. So now we know exactly where to get some Coco Love skin and body care brand. So you don't know which one of them you like the most, but because they're all your babies, but you love them all.
Well, we are going to hold you to that in-studio facial. I think that's going to be a great idea for us to see some of the products. But this is such a great idea. Just one thing before we close, Indira, you know, when we talk about natural products. This is something that I know that big brands are using as their marketing tool, but people like you have been able to do it right here in Belize. What do you say to other people who kind of have that same interest about moving forward and ensuring that they pursue whatever it is that they're imagining they want to make?
I would just say go for it. Like, the biggest thing holding you back is yourself, and you always will probably say to yourself that, you know, I'm gonna do this when I get a certain point or when something happens. But just start now, and even if it's super small, just start. Like right now, I don't have a website. There's a lot of things that I wish like I could just have launching, but I'm just starting small, and then you just build and you grow from there.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. I'll tell you what, Indira, we're so thankful to have you in this morning with us to tell us all about Coco Love. And it's and then again, I feel much more proud that, you know, we're PG people. We're from PG.
Yes, PG.
Indira, thank you so very much for joining us this morning, all right? And best of luck.
Thank you too. Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
You too.
All right.
You too. Wow.
Live from PG.
Yeah, live from PG. The things that we do in our country. Yeah. And just when we think that we're actually hitting rock bottom and not knowing where to go, what to do, there's so many things we could do right here at home. And of course, what we need to do is to continue to support each other for us to flourish. We're about to take our final break of the morning. When we come back, we will be wrapping things up. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Stay safe and submit your sickness benefit claim form electronically. Follow these 4 steps. Step 1. Obtain your medical certificate. At consultation, the doctor certifies your days of illness and provides you with a medical certificate. Step 2. Fill out your sickness benefit form. Complete all the fields in parts 1 to 4 on the front page of the sickness benefit form. Step 3. Request your salaries record form. Contact your employer for your salaries record form. Step 4. Submit your sickness benefit claim form. Scan or take a clear picture of the sickness benefit form, salaries record, and proof of bank account. Email the documents to claims@socialsecurity.org.bz within 14 days. You will receive an email reply confirming receipt of your claim. After the submission of all documents, your claim is processed for payment to your account. For any COVID-related illnesses, contact the Ministry of Health for further guidance. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
And we are back, but just like that, we're completely out of time. It was a great morning. It was a morning to reckon with. This, to me, was one of those special Wednesday morning whereby all the conversations had a connect to it. But Marlene, more so. And I'll leave. I want to leave with this, with the story that we ran this morning in talking about the news and how things are right now with our health in the health sector. You know what? We're causing it because we're not following our protocols. We're not following these protocols set out to us by the Ministry of Health. So the people to blame are ourselves. Yeah. And that's straight out forward, Marlene. Yeah. It's overwhelming at this point.
Yeah, and I think going back to what the Dr. Cobb mentioned, it could be anyone. It could be me.
Anybody.
I could be COVID positive right now and not know. I think these are the things that we have to take into consideration. And while maybe I may be spared from severe symptoms, I can come in contact with someone who will not have that same benefit, especially if they're not vaccinated. But yeah, and, you're talking about overworked healthcare workers across the sector, nurses in the hospital, doctors in the hospital, people who work at the clinics, people who are swabbing, people who are testing. All of these people are overwhelmed and inundated. We have a morgue that's at capacity. It's tragic when you think about it.
It's tough.
The case in San Pedro where the person was waiting to access care for COVID. I think we just have to be realistic with ourselves. And I hear people keep on saying, well, lock down the country and all of that. And we know the economic repercussions. And there is a tough spot that our leaders and decision makers are in to decide how to balance our health needs and our economic needs. But beyond that, while you can continue pressuring for the type of regulations you think are necessary, don't forget to do what is necessary for you at that time. It's not the time to be hanging out with people who are outside of your bubble. Like, I've gone back to my bubble mentality. Yeah. Who's in my bubble and what is safe in my bubble, and beyond that, virtual only. Yeah. And so I think that's a key thing to do, because we have to help to reduce the spread. Indeed. There's no big stick that will come down, no ticket, no, if you're going to have all your friends over who hang out with other friends all the other time.
And their friends hang out with other friends.
Exactly. And they don't respect the protocols, and they drink in front of each other and eat in front of each other without a mask. Then you're inviting it into your space.
All of these
things. We have to take our own personal responsibility.
But the healthcare, but our doctors are telling us the best way for us to get over this is for us to go on out there and get vaccinated. Our doctors are actually telling us this, and we could talk about those that we love so much. Dr. Kuyar is telling you, hey, you have to go out there, you want to get Wassarak, the man to tell you that. And if he could be out here telling us that, then what else do we need? And Marlene, I want to say that their healthcare facilities across this country, and they've got the vaccines there. Go on out there and get vaccinated. The Johnson & Johnson is out. One shot and done. So if you're afraid for needles, that's just one. And you're going to be okay.
And you're scared of needles, and you did it. You did the 2 AstraZeneca.
Yes.
So, And I got to say, on a positive note, though, it was encouraging to see yesterday that vaccination sites are in fact very busy. I think yesterday there was a spike in vaccinations, partly because it was the second round for the Pfizer for or teenagers.
17, yes.
And also, I think some people have seen the increase in the spikes, and especially the number of deaths, and heard the nurses here, and they decided that it's probably the best time.
Yeah.
But whether you're fully vaccinated, whether you're partially vaccinated, whether you're not vaccinated, please just do your part and minimize all that you need to do to contain COVID-19 in this country.
Yes, so we need to go, I know. But finally, after seeing those videos with our healthcare workers, there are a lot of people who are going out to reach out to help, giving them gifts and whatnot. Yes, those things work, but the best gift we could give them is the gift of rest. And the only way we can do that is if we go on out, get vaccinated, and adhere to all the protocols set out to us by, of course, our folks from the health department. So let's do that. We want to thank you. Without you, this show is not possible. We're so thankful that you're able to wake up and start your morning right with us. If you've got any questions, any concerns, drop us a line at oye@channel5b.com. You could also drop us a line. You could also find us on Facebook, actually, at Channel 5 Belize, and also at Instagram at OYE Belize. You can join us again tomorrow morning when you open your eyes
to start your morning right. Until then, keep your
eyes, your minds, and your hearts open too.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Oh.
Brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.